Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Atari ST A to Z, a series of short playthroughs of Atari ST games, some which I grew up with and some which are new to me. Today is one of the latter, although I've become a little bit more familiar with this game's arcade incarnation in more recent years. Today we're looking at The New Zealand Story, which was a 1988 arcade game from Taito, ported to Atari ST and published by Ocean the following year. There was also an NES port of this game by Software Creations, who were very well known at the time for their arcade conversions for various platforms. They first came to prominence with their port of Bubble Bobble for the Commodore 64, and subsequently ported things to all sorts of different platforms. They also made Solstice for the NES, so if you ever had a screaming wizard infesting your nightmares, then you know who to blame for that. I'm not actually sure if Software Creations were involved in this particular port to Atari ST, but they certainly had a bit of a role in importing the arcade game to various platforms. Now, the 16-bit versions of the New Zealand Story became quite well known thanks to their inclusion in the popular Batman bundle for the Amiga 500, which sold something in the region of 2 million units. And because the ST was the Amiga's big rival, there was a bit of a knock-on effect of this game getting quite well known in the process. Now, the game was pretty well regarded back in the day, and even the grumpy pants reviewers at ST Format begrudgingly admitted that it was infuriatingly addictive, but not before they slapped it with a 4 out of 10 rating for intelligence in their scoring system. So, dumb fun, nothing wrong with that. Alright, let's go play The New Zealand Story. Okay, here we are with The New Zealand Story from Taito and Ocean, the ST and Amiga version developed by Choice Software. And like I say, Software Creations were involved with this as well. So there are a bunch of different ports of this on different platforms. And Software Creations' involvement was pretty predictable as part of the whole sort of computing scene in this era, because they were really good at arcade conversions. But yeah, this specific version for Atari ST was done by Choice, from the sound of things. The code by C. Gordon and graphics by S. Connor. Right, let's see how this goes. So like I said, I played the arcade version of this. Actually didn't play it for the first time until relatively recently as part of the Taito Legends compilation on PlayStation 2. So I've never actually played the Atari ST version of this. I remember seeing it around back in the day, but never actually playing it. I didn't play that many arcade conversions on the ST, because a lot of them simply weren't that good, but I remember this one being quite fondly regarded. I mean, it's not arcade perfect or anything like that. You'll note that the movement and the scrolling in particular is quite a bit less smooth than the original arcade version would have been. But despite that, the controls are perfectly responsive, and it works fine as a game. So yeah, this seems perfectly competent to me so far. The only slight drawback to this is a common drawback of arcade conversions for the Atari ST, which we've talked about a bit before, which is the fact that the Atari ST continues to use the conventions of Atari joysticks that had been around since the Atari 2600. Namely, the fact that there's only one fire button. And what that means is there's no button for jumping. Whoops. And instead what you have to push up to jump. Which isn't a massive problem on a joystick. Yeah. It's not a massive problem on a joystick, but when you're playing on a gamepad like I am right now, it can feel a little bit awkward and fiddly. Get out of here. And stop respawning. Oh, that's awkward. I don't remember that being that awkward in the arcade version, actually. Alright. Well, we got a high score. So that's nice. yeah, so far this seems perfectly fine to me. As I say, this is one you tend to see around quite a bit. I think this was bundled in like one of the Atari ST packs, possibly. I know it was certainly on one of the Amiga compilations that you could get when you bought a new Amiga. Can't remember offhand whether or not it was part of an Atari ST bundle, but it wouldn't surprise me. It's the kind of game that would fit right into one of those. It's just got that sort of feel to the whole thing about it that, I don't know, there's a distinctive kind of feel to all the games that tended to be included in those bundles, largely because a lot of them were from the same developers and publishers, I think. So Ocean were always heavily involved with that. There are a few delightful Paradox software versions along the way, so we got things like Bomb Jack, but then there was also stuff like Chopper X and stuff, which is not very good. But yeah, the world of the pack-in game is a bit of a lost art these days. I mean, you still get bundles of your new consoles and so on, but it's not like back in this period where it was sort of expected that something would come with your computer or your console. And the packs for ST and Amiga, both of them were extraordinarily generous with regard to how much stuff you got. There were several ST packs that sort of proudly proclaimed you got several £100 worth of software for free with your computer that also cost several £100. But basically, you were getting one of those two things for free. You're either getting a big pile of software or a computer for free, effectively. Ooh, fakey things. Oh, I don't like these things. They're much nastier than they were in the arcade version. And I don't know where I'm going. And there's hundreds of them! Oh, we're going over there. No, we're not. How do we get over there? Help! There we go. Through here. Oops! Balls. Ow. This is hard. So I don't know if the arcade version I played on Taito Legends is pitched at a slightly lower difficulty level or so on, but I don't remember having quite this much difficulty with these early levels. Yeah, let's have another go, because as ST Format said, it is infuriatingly addictive. Because it's a very simple concept, simply getting from point A to point B. So in contrast to some of Taito's other stuff from a similar period, it's not a case of having to defeat all the enemies on the screen. It's just simple, small, self-contained levels. And all you got to do is safely get through them. But of course, along the way, if you do pick up some of those lovely fruits, then you get plenty of points. Because that's the tradition for arcade games of this era. Kill stuff, get fruit, get points, get extra lives, maybe. You will, however, notice that there's no continues in this game. Which perhaps makes it slightly more challenging than it needs to be, but... well, gives it a sense of longevity or something else, if nothing else, doesn't it? If you can one credit clear the New Zealand story on it, Atari ST, then all credit to you, I guess. No pun intended. Oh no! Oh, should have remembered those were there. Don't like how it starts you exactly where you died. Like, regardless of whether that was on a platformer or as you were falling down a giant pit. Alright, let's just quickly head over here. Because the enemies actually don't seem to hurt you if you just touch them, so it's just if they shoot at you. It's a swimmy bit. That's one thing I remember finding weirdly striking about this game, is the use of those sort of road sign type things around the place, the blue circles with the arrows in them. I remember finding that weirdly striking about this game, because it reminded me of sort of road signs we have here in the UK. I've never been to New Zealand, but it wouldn't surprise me if their road signs took some inspiration from here. What with the sort of historical connections from over the years. There's a Union Jack on their flag, don't you know? There we go. Okay. Oh, this is unpleasant. Well, we're getting a little bit further each time. A little bit further. Up to stage 1-4 now. Might even make it to the first boss. Alright, bring it on. Again. Ready? Yes. I'll say they've done a nice job of porting the graphics in this. Which, given what we know of how a lot of arcade ports were handled in this era, is kind of doubly impressive, because as we've seen with some of the other arcade games that we've played on the Atari ST, there were plenty of companies who were expected to produce conversions of arcade games without having any access to any of the original assets or hardware or code or software. I think it was Rodland we were looking at when the developers actually got some material, in quite a rare example of the original developer of the game cooperating with them. But what they got was a sprite sheet that was very, very garbled. So it was all the bits of all the sprites in the game in the wrong order and scattered in different layers, and yeah, it sounded like a real mess. But they managed to decipher it and produce one of the very best arcade conversions on the Atari ST, has to be said. Rodland on Atari ST. Not only is Rodland one of my favourite games of all time, the Atari ST version is one of the most competent ports of it out there. And so when you think that they didn't really have access to everything they needed in order to be able to do a good job of that, it's doubly impressive. I don't know what the situation was with this one. How much assistance from how much actual assistance from Taito they would have had with this one, but regardless, they've done a pretty good job of recreating what the arcade game looks like. No, I've done it again. Ah. As I say, the only thing this version's really lacking is the frame rate. It's just not as smooth as the arcade version, which is not surprising because the ST wasn't good at scrolling. And there's rare examples of it doing a reasonable job at it, but for the most part, scrolling was not a strength of the Atari ST, regardless of game, regardless of how good the rest of the game was. Getting scrolling at a decent frame rate was troublesome for even some of the best programmers on the platform. So, and it's not bad. It's just obviously not as slick. It's just obviously not as slick as the original or what the Amiga could have done, and so on. So but back in the day, that's just something we dealt with. That's just something we had to accept. It was a limitation of the platform. It was something that made it unique, not necessarily in a good way, but it was something that set the platform apart and made it stand out, just like the sound chip. I mean, again, the sounds in this aren't the same as you would have had in the arcade machine. But they do the job. They're perfectly competent. There's a catchy little tune. I learned relatively recently that the sound chip in the Atari ST is basically a variation of the one that's the same one that's in the Intellivision, which kind of explains a bit why some of the sounds so dated. Is because it's very old technology. It dates back to sort of early 80s, possibly even late 70s. So it's been used for a very, very long time. And the chip in the Atari ST is a slightly later model of the one that was used in the Intellivision, but it's the same hardware at heart. And I only noticed this because I was watching a video of some Intellivision game. Oh, we've done it again! I do that every bloody time. Sorry. Yes, I was watching a video of some Intellivision games, and I thought, oh, that explosion sounds familiar. I thought, that sounds just like the Atari ST. Surely not. But I looked it up, I did a bit of research, and yeah, sure enough. Sure enough, there is indeed a connection there. The letter I picked up there, as you might expect, you have to spell out extend to get extra life. Unfortunately, those extra lives aren't quite as easy to come by as they are in something like Rodland. So they just show up in very specific locations in the level, so you need to know where they are. So, as with many games like this, memorizing the levels is an important part of getting good. Oh, I do not like those bat things. Oh! That was unpleasant. Get out of here. That blue sign there, that's the road sign I was talking about. It sort of reminds me of the one-way signs we have in this country. Oh, God. Can't get past 1-4, can I? Let's have one more go and then we'll call it a day. But yeah, like, monstrous difficulty aside, I'm having a good time with this. This is a good little port. Like I say, with such ready access to the arcade version on Taito Legends, not sure how often I'll return to this specific version, but it's nice to know that the Atari ST had a competent port of a well-regarded arcade game. I don't remember this game being a super big hit or anything, but I do remember it being fairly fondly regarded by a lot of publications at the time, so I remember seeing it a lot in Ace magazine for some reason. Ace was a multi-format magazine. Ace was short for Advanced Computer Entertainment. And it was a really cool magazine, actually, because they covered all sorts of different platforms. So they covered everything from like the 8-bit platforms right up to the more unusual multimedia platforms that were starting to appear. So they covered things like the PC Engine CD and the FM Towns and the Sharp X68000 and that sort of thing. So yeah, I used to really like that magazine because there would be stuff in there that you wouldn't be able to read about anywhere else. And I found that really interesting. And there is a near complete archive of Ace magazines over on Atari Mania. So if you're curious about this magazine, I recommend checking it out. It's a good read. The first few issues, they weren't terribly rigorous with their proofreading, shall we say, in the first few issues. But in later issues, once they really sort of hit their stride, it was a very high quality, very professional magazine. Like I say, if you do decide to start at the beginning, don't let the slightly sloppy nature of the proofreading or the lack thereof put you off or anything. But at least check out some of the later issues. No. Ooh. That was tenser than it needed to be. Get out of here. A gun down there. I could have gone and picked that up, but no. I'll take the tea though. There we go. Alright. Get me out of this hellhole. Random bonus you get there, and it's like it counts up by hundreds and it gives you like 83 points on top of it. Wonder if it's done by a time bonus or something that you don't see on the screen. Maybe it does go hurry up after a while, so yeah, maybe it is a time bonus, just not one that's displayed. Right, does that thing go by timing or proximity? Whoop! I didn't touch that. That's some dodgy collision detection right there. That's some bullshit, I tell you. That is also some bullshit, for a different reason. Oh, sweet progress. Ooh. That is some bullshit right there. Oh dear. Well, we got a high score. A higher score. But I think that's probably about my limit for now. So let's leave that there for now. That was the New Zealand story by Taito for Atari ST, developed by Choice from the look of things. I don't actually know if Software Creations were involved with this Atari ST port at all, but they were certainly involved with some of the conversions of this game, perhaps only to the 8-bit platforms, but they had involvement anyway. But there you go. Yeah, so that's a fun game, a decent conversion of a fun Taito game, and a bit of an underappreciated Taito game as well. So do check it out if you've never played it before. It's a fun platformer. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.